I don't know what day it is. Doesn't really matter, does it?
Mm-mm.
Wanted to talk a little bit today about things that were easier and harder than we expected.
Yeah.
Okay. So let's start with the hospital.
Hospital after the surgery?
Right after the surgery,
Yeah.
so a couple of days right there.
Because we have to clarify, because we've been
There,
to the hospital
apparently,
twice
yeah,
now.
well, yeah.
So, what do you think?
For me, it went easier than I thought it was going to go. And it's all relative easier, but I thought I would be one of those people that was like moaning down the hallway. I was so miserable, and I was just quiet and asleep and those kinds of things.
I thought it was easier too. I also thought you'd be one of those people moaning down the hallway.
Thanks.
And you weren't. I don't know that you were necessarily quiet. You did sleep a lot, but you definitely were fist bumping and waving at people and
That's true.
making friends like you like to do, but
Yeah, that's
definitely much easier than I thought it was going to be.
Okay. Next thing, eating.
What do you think? Because eating was basically the same for me, except for that I ate less. I was just less hungry, but what was eating like for you?
What has the eating been like
Yeah.
over the last couple of weeks?
Yeah.
It's been easy. It's been both. I think that swallowing has been harder than I thought it would be, even though they told me it was going to be hard. You just don't know what that is. But once you get going, it's not terribly hard to just start drinking your protein drinks and get your 90 grams of protein and those kinds of things.
Oh, goodness.
Ooh, excuse me. That was me stifling a yawn. Yawns still hurt because yawns make your mouth go big.
Yeah, so yawns are harder.
Yeah, yawns are harder. Yeah,
Than
that's exactly right.
I think that you've done a great job with eating. I think that's, I don't know if I would say it's easier or harder. I think you've just done a great job of getting in your protein, finding things to eat. I think the thing that I thought was easier, for sure, was I thought you would have a lot of like hunger cravings, and you haven't really.
Yeah,
as it seemed like that's the case. So even early on, I was trying really hard not to eat in front of you and not to cook until you were sleeping, and making sure that I didn't make you want to eat food that you couldn't eat. But that hasn't really seemed to be a super big issue, and part of that is because it's so hard to swallow. So I don't think that you think about a hamburger and go, man, I'd love to have me a hamburger, because I think you know it would hurt.
Yeah, it would. So I guess we've talked on both sides of that swallow thing, haven't we?
Yeah.
Coming home from the hospital, actually getting home, I think was harder than I thought it was going to be.
Definitely harder.
And adjusting to, being at home and not having somebody to call when I was unsure about something and those types of things.
Right. That's when the pain was worse, for sure. And I think that that's an expected part of the surgery, that you're going to expect that days 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 kind of in there, that those are the hardest days, and they definitely were. But it was harder than I thought it was going to be.
Yeah, definitely for me too.
Especially since the hospital was easier. It felt like, and in fact, when you were in the hospital, you said, if everything goes like this, I can manage this. This is manageable. But it did get harder. It got worse. The pain was worse. It was harder at home, for sure. There was also just a lot of things to figure out at home, like what kind of Tylenol to take and how to do that, and all of that was harder than I thought it was going to be.
Sure, I agree. Sleeping, I think for the most part, sleeping's been easier than I thought it was going to be. I think the tricky thing is just keeping myself a little bit upright so that I don't drown.
Right.
For that matter.
I think sleeping's been easier too. I thought that you would be more, here comes another yawn. You got it. You got it. You got it. I thought sleeping would be hard. I thought you would be restless. I thought that the pain would be hard at night. I thought you would toss and turn. You haven't really done that, so that's certainly been easier. The part that's been harder for me is that I'm tired of sleeping upright. So we have our bed on an incline, which is wonderful, but not necessarily the most comfortable way to sleep for me. So that has been harder. But the one thing that has been easier and a huge surprise is that you don't snore anymore.
Yeah.
And before now, you snored a lot. So
Yeah, I joke that it's like I've got a 5-car garage in there now, but it definitely is. There's more open air, and I'm not going. So it's a good thing.
Yeah.
We'll have to talk to my sleep doctors about all that kind of
For
jazz.
sure.
Yeah. Let's see, what else do we have on our list here? I would go with, let's look here. That's how we have these lists, right? Oh, getting into a routine.
Harder.
Much harder.
Yeah.
Because nothing goes as planned. You know, you get this half hour, this 2 hours off, and then you're trying to figure out your schedule for rest and for sleep and for medicine and for all that kind of stuff. And, you know, we talked in one of our other podcasts here around the importance of getting on a schedule. And it is important, but it's hard to continue on a schedule. You have to, just because you have a schedule doesn't mean you can't. You don't have to adapt and adjust every single day.
Yeah, I thought we would be good at getting on a schedule and having some structure because that's something we're good at generally.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought we would kind of be awesome at that, and it was harder than I thought it would be for sure. I would say what we've learned is that we would have a structure or a schedule for the day, and something would change in whatever way. You'd sleep through a med, or we were going to take a walk and you weren't quite feeling like you had enough energy for it. And then we needed to reboot from that spot, rather than feel
Try
like
to get back to the original
try to
schedule.
get back to the original schedule, or feel like, well, everything's messed up, so
We don't
scrap
need
it all.
one, yeah. Mhm.
But say, where are we right now? What do we need to do
Mhm.
from this point forward?
Yep.
Yeah.
Talking has been mostly easier than I thought it would be. I was talking earlier in the process, and I was talking with good enunciation, especially earlier in the process. But lately it's been a little bit harder to talk.
I'd say in aggregate, it's been easier. I didn't know if you were going to come out of surgery being able to talk at all. So just being able to talk was wonderful. I wasn't sure if you would, if your voice would sound the same or any of those things. And so that has been easier because you have been able to talk the entire time. You do get tired. And so you have to rest. And certainly you've had some variability with pronunciation and being able to kind of say things clearly. But I'd say overall it's been easier.
Yeah, later in the day my enunciation gets sloppy.
Yeah.
And it's because my mouth and my jaw and my tongue are tired.
Yeah. You definitely have a trajectory that starts out pretty high and nosedives as the day goes on. That's been pretty predictable, that your mornings are pretty strong, and then you get kind of tireder and tireder and tighter in all the ways as we go through the day, which makes sense. So we've capitalized on that, and we've used the mornings to do the important things, make sure we walk, make sure you eat, make sure we do all those things. The thing that has been harder with regards to talking is just that I miss getting to talk to you.
Yeah, because I don't talk as much. I tend to be a somewhat loquacious individual.
Generally speaking, you're a talker. It's a big part of who you are, and that has been hard to just manage because that's how we spend our time, pretty much, just talking to one another. So it's been weird and difficult and harder than I thought to not be able to have conversations with you like normal.
Yeah, I agree with that. And I think that's a good segue into the last topic that I had, was our relationship. So.
Easier or harder?
Yeah.
I think, I don't know, it's a trap. I don't know if I want to answer.
It is a trap. So, well, I think, you know, like a lot of the things that we've talked about here, it's been a roller coaster. I mean, I think that the good news is that we always know that we're going to come back and rely on each other. We may have shorter or longer deviations from that. But I think that being able to count on each other and communicating is the most important thing. And I think that I mean, I'm shorter, there's no question about it, that I'm less able to round out something that I might be telling you to make it more palatable. And so I'm a little quicker to, you know, get frustrated or those types of things.
I think we both are. I think we're both. I mean, no question, this is just stressful. This is a stressful recovery. And anytime you're under stress, then you just have less margin to manage things. And so things irritate you quicker. So I think we're both just a little bit shorter, easier to get irritated or agitated by things.
Yeah, and I think the reasons why those things are maybe a little bit different for each of us. I mean, I know everything is falling on you to take care of, and so that's a little bit harder for you. And then for me, it's just that I don't know what I have inside of me, right? You know, and so I'm going to react to what I'm doing. So between the two of those things, I mean, I think that overall it's been a little bit harder than we thought it would be.
Yeah.
But I still feel like because of who we are, we're able to kind of come back to the center and kind of rebuild and restart and get back to us.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. I'd say overall process has been, I don't know, I think I would say what I expected, leaning towards harder.
Yeah, I would. I mean, overall, I would agree with that. And I think the number one reason for that is the lack of consistency or just building on one thing or another. You don't build on things day by day. You build on them blocks by blocks and chunks.
Yeah.
And so, you know, look at a 3-day cycle instead of a 1-day cycle.
Yeah.
And you go, oh, well, 2 days were good and 1 day was hard around this. And then we go on to the next thing and the next thing and the next thing.
Yeah.
So overall, I mean, there's just, you kind of got to stay with it and know that tomorrow something will be better. And, you know, expect that something will be worse or not any better, you know, but that doesn't mean that it's not going to get better. And pretty much everything that I've been frustrated with at any particular time has gotten better at some time, at some point in time.
One of the things that we did that was, I think, beneficial is every day I tried to label the things for you that were better. Like, hey, today you're going a little bit longer between pain medication, or you've spent more hours awake today than you have the past 3 days, or you're talking just a little bit more. And I really did try to find those even small things that were getting better, little bitty things that were getting better.
I agree with that.
You know, you only had stuff come out your nose 7 times instead of 10. So those incremental successes. I know it does.
It's okay though.
Yeah.
Fine. All right. Thanks for talking about those with me.
Sure.
We'll catch you next time.
All right.